What is going on, you guys? My name is Daniel, and in this video we're going to be going over which and how much better is your Canon R6 than the RP. And this is definitely a big question to be asking, because if you are not using your R6 all the way to its full capacity, then you probably should have gone with the EOS R or the RP. So we're going to cover how many of these features are so much better that it warrants the more than twice the price tag on the R6 than the Canon RP. I've had the joy of using the RP and the R6 over the Christmas holiday, thanks to Canon Finland for supplying me with some lenses to review and the Canon RP to also review. I've definitely found it to be a very good camera, but in the way of settings and how the dynamic ranges, it's not there on par with the R or the R6. And since this is a comparison to the R6, I think the first thing that you notice when you pick up an RP is that there's definitely a lacking of the settings that you can adjust and everything. For example, my video for the viewfinder settings on the R6 is about 20 minutes long, whereas my video for the RP is only about 7. But for many users, that won't be a huge problem, considering most people just want to pick up their camera and start using it and just take good photos with it, rather than have all these buttons and things that they have to configure, like those professionals that are going out and shooting weddings would like to have. Alright, so we've met up with Addy over here. You can go check out his channel, I'll have it linked up there.
Yes.
What do you do mostly?
Mostly I'm trying to make like short films and photography. I love portrait photography, and today we're going to make some acrobatic ninja film with Daniel and taking some photos also.
Yeah. Anyways, the next big consideration for the R6 versus the RP is the 2 card slots. So for anybody that is doing like events or anything that's really important that you only got one shot at getting it, the 2 card slots makes a huge difference. If you have the RP, then you have to like back them up on your phone, and it's just another step, and it's just not all that good. One important thing though with the R6 is to remember to turn on the right to both card slots. For some reason, out of the factory, it's not there. Don't ask me why. And then the next big one for pretty much all photographers is the autofocus systems on the R6 versus the RP. And the R6 is definitely going to be taking this with its ability to take and actually make focus on pretty much 100% of the photos while doing a high frame rate up to 20 frames a second. Now, if you're doing sports, sometimes if you have too much fast motion, the rolling shutter will mess with your photos. But I personally don't find this to be a huge issue as long as you're not doing sports, super fast moving objects, and you'll just be fine. But on the RP, it really struggles even with just somebody walking forward with a frame rate. Like, it's just not as good of a autofocus system, and this can be a big problem for people that are trying to do bird photography, any types of sports, sometimes even events. It'll be missing photos, but it's one of those things you got to take into consideration. And I think that, however, 90% of the casual photographers won't find this to be a problem. Now, something that might not be a big issue for a more casual shooter is the battery size difference. So the batteries used in the RP are significantly smaller, as are the same ones that are used with the Canon M50. So if you're going to need a lot of them if you're trying to do an event, whereas the new batteries that are coming with the R6 have been able to get me through about 2,000 shots, which if you're just doing a small event is more than enough. And even just another simple battery will do you to get through pretty much any event that you'll ever have coming your way. Now, another consideration is that oh, it is on. Is it on? Okay, we're good. Another consideration is the ice on the road. But the viewfinders and the back screen for the R6 versus the RP, the RP's is like the original iPhone type feel to it in comparison to what the R6 is. The frame rate doesn't feel as good, the colors aren't quite as good, and the back screen doesn't feel quite as, nice and easy to use. For anybody that's used touch and drag, the touch and drag on the R6 is much harder to use than the touch and drag on the RP is much harder to use than on the R6 because the LCD screen is a lot better. And so the colors are going to come out cleaner. You're going to see everything in more real time on the R6 than you are going to be on the RP, in my personal experience. And that kind of makes a big difference for the user interface feature part of it. Another big consideration is the IBIS. The RP has 0 IBIS, and that's the reason that I'm not using it to vlog right now. But the R6, which you currently are, has some IBIS, so it has stabilization, even though my wide angle lens doesn't have any IS built into it. So it's a little bit more stable to use. There is the digital IS inside the RP and the R6, but if you're doing anything like this where you're walking, it just makes the edges super jittery and it's not worth using because But if you have something you're doing slow and you just want it a little bit better, smoother, then the digital IS makes a difference. Are you going to be using the video aspects of your camera, or are you just going to be photography based? And if you're going to be doing video, how serious about video are you? Because if you want to do anything with the C-Log or anything, you're going to need the R6, whereas the RP doesn't have any of those nice settings. And one of the final things that's very, very different about these two cameras is how the RP feels in your hand and how the R6 feels in your hand, and the buttons that you have available to customize. Now, because the RP is significantly more watered down, you're going to have fewer buttons that you're able to customize, and it's going to be a little bit harder to use, and you're going to be end up using the back LED screen so much more than you will be using the actual buttons and everything. So having the ability to customize your buttons and have the exact layout that you want in the R6 is a huge bonus that you just don't have with the RP. So when it comes down to it for these two and deciding which camera you're going to actually pick up, I definitely say, how much customizability do you need? How professional are you trying to be with it? And then if you are at a beginner level, I don't think the RP is going to hold you back at all for anything. You're going to have access to the exact same lineup of glass, the EF when you have the adapter, and the RF, which is super, super sharp and good. So really it comes down to, do you want to shoot a lot of video? Do you want to shoot professionally with this camera? Are you going to be needing the ability to shoot in rapid succession for sports and any nature photography? So if you're not planning on using the extra features on the Canon R6, then you're probably going to be better set with the RP. So do you need the extra card slot? Do you need more time to shoot? Are you going to be shooting events? Are you shooting sports? Do you need the C-Log? Those are the biggest things. So if you're going to be picking up either one of these cameras, don't forget to check out the links down below. They really do help out the channel. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for everything mirrorless Canon cameras.